Welcome to Corporate Agony Aunt, the podcast that takes the agony out of career progression and gives you the straight talking advice you actually need to thrive at work. I'm Izzy, your corporate agony aunt, whether you're chasing a promotion, negotiating a pay rise, or navigating politics. This is the place for the career highs, lows, yeses, and nos. Hit subscribe wherever you're listening because your next opportunity starts right here. First up, we're tackling your corporate dilemmas and how to handle them. The first one is, my company won't give me a pay rise, but I know I'm underpaid. What should I do? If you know you're underpaid, the worst thing you can do is just accept it. Companies rarely hand out pay rises unless they absolutely have to. And if you don't push for one, they'll assume you're fine with what you're getting. But before you go in demanding more money, we need to understand your leverage. And it means getting the facts and understanding your worth to stop people from refusing to budge. So you need to know exactly how much someone in your role with your experience should be earning. You can use salary benchmarking tools like Glassdoor, LinkedIn Insights. Even better, speak to some recruiters because they are a goldmine of information. If you find a significant pay gap between what you earn and what the market rate is, we need to act fast. First, you need to make your case. Walking into a salary conversation unprepared is a mistake. You need a clear and confident approach that frames your request as a logical step, not an irrational demand. The key to staying professional is using facts and making it so easy for your manager to say yes. Here's a really simple script to guide the conversation. Obviously, it will change with context. I'll give you an example for myself. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. I wanted to have a conversation about my salary. Over the past 6 months, I've taken on additional responsibilities and projects, plus an additional leadership role, and I've consistently delivered results, including A, B, and C, anything specific about the things that have added value to the company. Given my contributions and the market rate for my role, I'd really like to discuss a salary increase. The manager might say, can you provide me with more details, Izzy? And I would say, of course. In the past year, and then insert any example of a project that you've led where you've increased revenue, implemented the system, saved money or improved efficiency. Or maybe you've took on additional duties above and beyond the original role. I've also done some market research, and based on industry benchmarks, the average salary for my role in this market is around £60,000. Given my impact and the value I bring, I'd really like to discuss aligning my salary more closely with the market rate and my current contributions to the company. The manager might say, there's not much budget for raises right now. And you'll say, I completely understand that budgets are tight, but I also want to ensure that my package reflects my contributions and the market value of my role. I'd love to work together with you to find a path forward, whether that's a salary increase now or a structured plan for the near future. Would you be open to discussing what that could look like? This works because you're not asking for a definitive yes or no straight away. It stays professional and fact-based, and you're not making it super personal, plus you're backing it up with data. Not only that, but it highlights your value. Instead of just asking for more money, you're showcasing why you've earned it and why you deserve it. It keeps the conversation open-ended, and if an immediate raise isn't possible, you're positioning yourself for future discussions. If your company does truly value you, they'll work with you on this, and if they don't, it's maybe a sign to start exploring your options elsewhere. Don't be the person that asks for a pay rise, doesn't get one, and then sits there growing in animosity as the office mood hoover. It is not good for your career, and it's certainly not good for your colleagues. The next thing you need to do is explore your options. So if your company is unwilling to pay you what you're worth, it's time to test the waters. Start networking, take recruiter calls, and quietly look at job postings. The best way to get a raise is often by getting an offer elsewhere, but I would always advise leaving if that's the case. If your current employer values you, they probably will counter, but if they don't, you better have something else lined up. Next, you really need to be ready to walk. That is unpopular advice in a tough market, but a company that consistently underpays you is showing you exactly how much they value you. And if they won't step up, it's time to step out. You do not owe them loyalty at your own financial expense. If they won't pay you what you're worth, someone else absolutely will. It's just about being patient, strategic in the job hunt. Our next corporate dilemma is, I'm great at my job, but I'm invisible to leadership. How do I get noticed? What you really need to do is speak up in meetings, own some projects, and build some killer relationships. The power move here is visibility builds opportunity. Perception really is reality when it comes to work. Being good at your job isn't enough if leadership don't know who you are. Hard work needs to be seen to be rewarded. If you feel invisible, it's time to be very intentional about raising your profile and unapologetic about that. Firstly, if you're quiet in meetings, people assume you have nothing to contribute. Change that by asking insightful questions, offering solutions, and reinforcing key points. You don't need to dominate every conversation. You just need to make sure your voice is heard. So instead of sitting silently in a strategy meeting, say, that's a great point. One challenge I've noticed is X. Has the team considered Y as a solution? The second thing you can do is own the projects that matter most. Leadership notices impact. Look for high visibility projects that align with the company goals and volunteer so you can contribute in a really meaningful way. An example is, if a company-wide initiative needs a lead, step up. I'd love to take ownership of this project and drive it forward. I've got ideas on how we can execute efficiently and measure success. Next, you need to build relationships with actual decision makers. Visibility isn't just about speaking, it's about being in the right conversation. Find ways to connect with leadership, whether it's through company events, cross-functional projects, or direct one-to-one interactions. After a company all hands, follow up with a leader. Oh, I really liked your point about X. I'd love to hear more about how you see that playing out in the business, Dave. Do you have a few minutes for a coffee next week? It's easy. People love to talk about themselves. Just ask them for the time to do so. And make your wins known. Don't assume that your achievements speak for themselves. Keep track of your success and find ways to highlight them, whether that's through team updates, presentations, performance reviews, personal brand, LinkedIn, whatever it is. But an example in a team meeting that's really accessible might just be sharing measurable results. So since implementing X, we improved efficiency by 30%. I'd love to see how we could explore this and scale it across other teams. Leadership do not just promote the best kept secret. In fact, they rarely do. The people who get ahead aren't just good at their jobs, they make sure the right people know it. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room, but you do need to be seen. Working hard in the corner is not going to get you the recognition you deserve. Next up, we have our Corporate Confessionals, the part of our podcast where we share someone's biggest mistake at work anonymously to make you feel better about the little mistakes we make along the way, because we all make mistakes, we're all only human. This one is one of my favourites so far. I slagged my manager off on Teams to another team member. I just used her first initials, so I thought it wasn't obvious. Anyway, she found it, printed it off, and called me into a meeting. I was only a contractor, so thought she was going to get rid of me. Weirdly, she didn't, and then a few months later when she was leaving, she apologised to me and said I was right about her. At least she reflected. This is a reminder that we all need not to put anything incriminating on any formal channels, even on WhatsApp. WhatsApp conversations can be seen, screenshotted, shared. Honestly, if you need to run your mouth about your manager, be careful who you do it to. But if you absolutely have to, please do it over the phone. Please do it over the phone. Don't be doing it over company channels, because if your boss finds it, they are well within their rights to reprimand you, even though that might feel really unfair. Luckily, this person got away with it. I have not been so fortunate in the past, but I'll share those on a different episode. Next up is our interview power move masterclass. Today, we're talking about recovering from stumbles and setting the scene perfectly for a telephone interview. Interviews can be high-pressure situations, but the key to success is not perfection, it's composure, because even the most confident candidates stumble. The difference between a good and a bad interview isn't avoiding mistakes, but it's about knowing how to recover them. If you stumble, stay calm. Mistakes happen. Maybe you interpret a question wrong, forget an example, you start rambling. The worst thing you can do is panic. Instead, just take a moment to reset. Pause and breathe. If you need to gather your thoughts, take a sip of water and simply pause for a second. It feels longer in your head than it is in the interview. Reframe your answer. If you realise mid-sentence that you're wrong, get back on track. You can acknowledge it. Actually, let me rephrase that to give you a clear answer. Or, that's a great question. Let me take a second to think about the example for this. These are all small moments of self-awareness that show confidence, not weakness. For me, that shows someone that's really in tune with their ability and their performance. Most candidates approach interviews as if they are pleading for a job, but you need to shift your mindset. This is a two-way street. You're assessing them as much as they're assessing you. Remember, they need you too. Walk into the room like you are an asset, not a liability. The hiring team is searching for the right fit, and if they're interviewing you, it means you have something they're interested in. If you weren't ready, you wouldn't have the opportunity, and if you're in the room, you're in the game. You need to speak with assurance instead of saying, I think I could do well in this role. I know I can bring value because. Ask questions back. Show you're not just there to impress, but to evaluate the company and that whether or not they align with your goals. Some example questions to ask are, what are the biggest challenges facing this team right now? It shows that you're willing to head into difficult problems head on and perform. What does success look like in this role in the first 6 months? It shows that you're performance orientated and you're really keen to make a great first impression. Can you tell me more about the team culture and leadership style? That demonstrates that you're a team player, but also that it matters that you're a fit to where you're working. Breathe, reframe, and own your worth. It's the only way to demonstrate how much of a strong and talented candidate you are. At the end of the day, interviews aren't about reciting perfect answers. You can't get full marks. They're about demonstrating confidence, adaptability, and self-awareness. So stay calm even if you slip up, and if you fumble, just recover gracefully. If you can master these, you won't just ace interviews, you'll control the narrative and you'll leave a very memorable, lasting impression. Next, we're on telephone and video interview preparation. We're going to talk about how to physically prepare for a telephone or video interview. A telephone or video interview might not require a firm handshake, but your preparation still plays a huge role in how you come across. From your environment to delivery, here's how to set yourself up for success. The first is to control your noise and the environment. Your setting matters more than you think. Background distractions, poor lighting, or a weak internet connection can make a bad impression before you even speak. I wish it wasn't the case, but it is so. You really need to find a quiet space. Background noise can be so distracting for both you and your interviewer. And if you live in a noisy area, consider using noise cancelling headphones. I've had friends that have come round to my house because their dog and their baby is too distracting, and my house was at the time quite quiet. Leverage a friend, leverage a family member who has a quiet, serene setting so you can really focus on being your best. Good lighting does matter. For video interviews in particular, face a natural light or use a lamp to avoid looking shadowed. I don't know why, but it matters so much, and if you can invest in some light, it'll make a big difference. Check your tech. You need to test your microphone, your camera, and your internet connection before, plus you need to log in 5 minutes early to avoid any last minute issues. I would trial run an hour before with a friend, and again 5 minutes before you join the call. Remember, this is an open book test and you need to use it wisely. Unlike in in-person interviews, you can actually have helpful prompts in front of you, but there's a right and wrong way to do this. Use an A4 sheet of paper for key notes and jot down bullet points, but not full scripts. Keep a little bit of the paper clear at the bottom right-hand side so you can jot down any questions that you've got at the end. I'd also have the company website open and have their mission statement, job description, and any key facts handy. You need to know the core values, but you don't need to just rinse and repeat them back. You need to try and epitomise those values in your answer, demonstrating that you are innovative or a team player rather than just saying that you are. You also need to speak clearly and at the right pace. How you say something is just as important as what you say. So this might sound hypocritical coming from me, but speak slowly and clearly. It's so easy to rush when you're nervous. You need to slow down, be more confident and articulate. Think about your pitch, pace, volume and tone. A monotone voice makes even the best answers forgettable, so vary your pitch to keep the interviewer engaged, even if they're really flat. Standing up can help. It opens up your diaphragm, improves your breathing and makes your voice sound more energetic. So try placing your laptop on an ironing board if you don't have a standing desk to keep yourself at a comfortable standing height. Do not be afraid to pause. Interviewers expect you to think before you speak. Instead of panicking when you need a moment, just own it. If you need time, just say so. That's a great question. Can I have a moment to gather my thoughts? Or, that's a great question. Let me take a moment to gather my thoughts. This buys you time and shows thoughtfulness. Silence for a few seconds feels longer to you than to them. Fix it. Prepare, control, and deliver with confidence. A noise-free space is absolutely the thing that you need with as little distraction as possible, and use your resources. Have notes, key facts handy, but don't rely on them. Make sure you're mirroring and matching your pitch, pace, volume, and tone, and always try and leave a very memorable first impression. Lastly, own the pause. Thinking before answering is a strength, not a weakness. Master these and you'll walk into any telephone or video interview with the confidence of someone who's already got the job. Next up, we have our community questions, the part of the episode where producer Georgia asks the questions that you've asked us on socials to make sure you're hearing it from the horse's mouth. Producer Georgia, what questions have we got today?
When is a good time to switch jobs?
I would always say switching jobs is quite subjective, and I hate to give hard and fast advice on it as a result, but my recommendation is focus on whether or not you are learning or earning or both. If you're doing neither, my suggestion would be it's time to switch jobs. If you are learning at an alarming rate but you're not earning very well, then at least you're onboarding knowledge for the future, which will help you earn more in the long run. If you are earning really well but you're not learning so much, you need to assess what your financial goals are to ascertain whether or not earning is priority number one. My guess is if you're feeling like it's ready to move, you probably are, but have a look at an internal move before you look externally to make life a little bit easier. My advice to most people is to do both. Look as if you're going to stay and stay as if you're looking elsewhere. So that way you're not giving too much to one. If you know you're being let go from a job in a month, I would change tact, and this is very controversial, unpopular advice, but I would not be giving all of my time to my job if I know I'm being let go. I would literally be doing the minimum to keep my reputation intact, and I would be spending as much time, my own time, and work time looking for my next job. I would show up on LinkedIn immediately, and I would start connecting with company hiring managers where I'd really like to work. I would finesse and finish my CV. It would be done. I would not be waiting for that about a month to finish before I get a handle on my CV and my cover letter. And I would reach out to maybe 5 to 10 people immediately in my network who I know are incredibly well connected and ask them all for coffees or phone calls. When you speak to those 10 people, ask them to introduce you to 2 to 3 more people. You'll come out with 40 opportunities as a result of conversations rather than just doing that the hard way and going through applications. I think there's a statistic about how 70% of job roles are filled through existing networks. Make yourself that statistic, play the game rather than letting it play against you. Thanks, Producer George. Any more?
No idea what job or industry to go into. Please help.
I think people feel a dilemma around what job or industry to go into when they haven't done the research, I'll be really honest. And I don't mean that to sound rude or disrespectful, but there's such a wealth of information out there about how many industries are available to us. And we have a preconceived opinion of where we fit based on the exposures we've had to industries so far. Rather than focusing on what you know, focus on what you don't know. So lean into research as if you're researching for a brand new job or a new job interview, and look into different industries that leverage your transferable skills. The most simple way to do this is to use AI, so ChatGPT, put in your fundamental skills, your things that you enjoy the most, the things that you've achieved within your career so far, and ask it to give you 10 to 20 recommendations of other industries or professions that you could go into with those skills. Once it gives you the answer, you need to niche down even further. What do I need to do to have the right skill set or experience to get a job in this industry? Who do I need to contact? What sort of decision maker do I need to be in touch with? Use the AI tools that we have available to us to streamline and expedite the research, but don't just sit there and say, I don't know what to go into. Get ahead of it. Do the research. Look into it. Ask people in your network who are in different industries, who are senior. Ask them where they see the future of work. Get ahead of the curve. Don't just keep going in what you already know, okay? Find something new. Give it a go. In our careers, we'll probably have 6 to 7 different industries and professions, so you just go in with the flow. That's basically all you're doing. It's not as daunting as it feels. Is that all for today, Producer Georgia? That's it for today. I hope this episode has helped to kickstart your career glow up. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our future career tips and tricks. Share this with a friend who's also navigating their career journey or job hunt so we can build an unstoppable community of professionals who know how to win in the corporate world. There are extra resources on my website and in the link in my bios to help you land your dream job and tackle your corporate dilemmas one step at a time. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time on Corporate Agony Aunt.